Just taking a quick look at this new Subaru Solterra. This is Subaru's EV, and it's not all new. This is a facelift, as you can see. The side and the rear end is going to be basically the same. So, well, actually, they did change the rear end here a little bit. They added the Subaru script, which is, the hottest new trend, isn't it? So instead of just having the badge. Yeah, but obviously, the front end here, these new lights, this is where all the major changes are. So we get these 6 little, I don't know what they are, little weird shaped LED lights, and then of course the headlights down below. In fact, this image here is kind of washed out, isn't it? But they're like right here. So that's part of, what makes this kind of a funny looking image. And, of course, they're showing off this new body color, all body color design. But I don't know if it looks that good on the white, to be honest, I don't know. It's weird, too, especially like from this angle, because it pretty much looks the same as the outgoing model. And you've always seen it with the black wheel arches, right? So it just kind of looks funny. Now they do say that this is going to be available on certain colors. So evidently the two-tone is still going to be available. But, actually what I would like to see is, you remember the old Baja? The Subaru Baja, they had the two-tone on that, they had a silver cladding option. I'd really like to see that on this new Solterra. I think that actually might look good because I wasn't a fan of, the dark black, like the current version, because it's, because this section is just so, it's just too big. But I wonder, if we did like a silver, that would give you some contrast and it wouldn't be too obnoxious, I don't think, because it wouldn't be so dark. So let me know what you guys think about that. And again, Subaru hasn't confirmed anything here other than that there will be a two-tone, or you can go for this monotone look. The monotone probably will look good on some other colors. I don't know about the white. It's just too much white. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. And this image, too, here is kind of funny because with the black mirrors, too, you don't really see those. So, yeah, I don't know why. In fact, why did they even choose white? Again, the headlights are here. Just kind of show, this is just a bad photo, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't think it looks that bad. And then on the rear, yeah, it still has that kind of unique spoiler. Yeah, you can see it better in this image. That kind of like, the two sections in the middle's cut out. So, yeah, if you were a fan of that, it still has that. So, whether you're a fan of this new design or not, the things you are going to be happy about is, they improved the specs on this thing quite a lot over the current model. So the battery, yeah, it's slightly larger, 74 kilowatt hours versus 72. Is it a new battery or is it more usable? I don't know. Who knows? Now, of course, this is Subaru, so it's dual motor, all-wheel drive. They say they've made some changes here to give more power and more range. So now the base model still only got 200, it's somewhere around 230 horsepower. So on a dual motor, that's not very good, is it? But the range is up like 60 miles. So before it was like around 220 miles. Now they're saying it's going to be around 280 miles. So, that's usable. Still not great. It's usable. And, I guess, well, you're combining this higher range number with the fact that, guess what? they're actually putting the NACS charger on this thing. So yeah, you know, you just plug right into any of those Tesla superchargers. You find those anywhere, right? So that actually is pretty good. So yeah, more range and a lot more charging options. Now, the downside here still is it's capped at 150 kilowatts. So that is definitely not good in 2026. Well, 2025 going into 2026. Yeah. So they're saying like 35 minutes just to go from 10 to 80%. So you're not going to be doing any of those, 10-minute charges. At least, not if you want to actually charge the battery up significantly. So you are going to have to stop and have lunch. You're not going to be doing a quick coffee run. If you want more power, they're going to offer that as well. So there's going to be an XT trim, which if you know anything about Subarus, that's always the turbo trim. Again, dual motor, but this time it's going to be around 330 horsepower. And they say, well, 5 seconds to 0 to 60. So that's actually a pretty decent spec, isn't it? That's a decent spec. So yeah, you can actually kind of, you can equip this thing with some decent specs now. And then on top of all of that, there's some changes to the interior here. Actually some significant changes, some good changes. Yeah, number one is, guess what? They got rid of that real nasty fabric that was on the dash over here, right? It was like the craziest thing where even if you got the top trim, yeah, here's the old one. Here's the old one. You can see it right here. Actually, there's a better image here. Yeah, right here. Even if you got the top trim with the leather seats and everything, the dash was covered in the same cheap, ugly fabric that the base model seats were covered in. It was like bizarre, right? I mean, it's just horrible. So yeah, they got rid of that stuff, and now, as you can see, the whole dash has actually been reworked. If you get, gray leather seats like this car has, you actually get some gray leather across the dash. And there's like this, I don't know, there's like this, little narrow vent area that goes across the passenger side now as well. And then the top part of the dash is just flat, smooth, even by the steering wheel here. There's none of this, it still has that upright gauge display, right? That's up by the windshield. But the area in front of it is flat now. So again, if we kind of go back to, yeah, this is the current generation. It kind of had this thing that like channeled that area into that gauge display, right? So yeah, it just, here's a better picture. Yeah, you can see that there's still a separate part there, but it's basically flat, flush with the rest of the dash. And then, yeah, we get this new square circle steering wheel. So that's going to be better for visibility, though, isn't it? Because you're going to be able to see over it. If you're looking here, let's say here's kind of where you're at. Yeah, you should be able to see just barely right over that wheel to see the instruments, the gauge cluster display a little bit better, right? So that's probably a good change, even though it's not going to really feel so good when you're turning it. But I think it does look cool too. It does look a little bit more modern. And then down here in the center console, there's some changes as well. How about dual wireless chargers? So that's nice. And then they kind of show off this shifter, but the shifter, I think that's a carryover part. So I don't know why they're showing that off. The other big news is actually the infotainment screen. Yeah, they kind of moved it up a little bit more. Again, if we go back to the current one, yeah, I guess maybe it's up a little bit. But anyways, this one was 12, 12.3 Toyota system, basically, right? So, yeah, Subaru has their own 14-inch. Actually, I don't even know if this is Subaru's own. They debuted their own in the new Outback, but this one's a little bit different, isn't it? But anyways, it's 14 inches, and it's got these like climate controlled knobs, built into the screen, kind of like the Mustang Mach-E started doing. Or they did it with the volume knob, right? But yeah, basically it's the same thing. And there is a volume knob. There is actually a physical volume knob there as well. So that's good. I think actually, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here, a lot of good improvements.